Today is Monday, June 29th. It's the Monday before NBA free agency, which officially starts and kicks up going tomorrow. Even though officially signed to the 6th, you'll start seeing more posts coming out about 6 Eastern tomorrow about free agent signings and stuff like that. So, what I figure is let's talk about moves that have been made that led up to free agency and what to expect going tomorrow as well. So it started off on the 21st with the Thunder trade Aaron Wiggins to the Hawks for a second round pick to free up his roster spot for the roster. They did a similar move with Say Joe as well, also to free up to the Pistons to free up another roster spot for the draft picks to try to do something a little bit different. Because even though you could argue if they were healthy, they could have won it all. Let's try to do something a little bit different with the draft picks we got and see if it works. So understand it. And for the Hawks and Pistons, get two good quality ball players who could help out your teams next year. So makes sense for all sides involved for those trades. On the 22nd, Trae Young gets that 4-year, $212 million extension. When he opted out, I was surprised. And when the extension came in, I was more surprised because I thought it'd be a much lower figure. And my thought was, who's going to give him that contract extension? The Bulls and Nets at the time, our own teams had free agency um, cap space teams, and I'm not sure that neither of them are going to do it because the Bulls have the point guard and Josh Giddey as of now, and the Nets, I mean, who knows? But they just drafted a point guard, obviously, in the draft. So, like, who are you bidding against? And Trae Young, I'm not the biggest Trae Young guy personally, so very confused to move there. But hey, keeps him in Washington, so okay, fine. And then the three-team trade involved Julius Randle and Nate Clarkson, and picks moving around between Minnesota, Chicago, and Brooklyn that led to the IO extension, which we talked about in a previous video. I did, please look it up. And then the Giannis trade happened, which I talked about as well. Look that up as well. Legos then intend to sign Reeves to a 4-year, $185 million extension, but the key is to get a wait on it and hold his capital because his capital is lower than his extension would be, so it gives him more cap space to move in. With things going with LeBron, I mean, who knows? We'll talk about that after we talk about previous events. I say Stewart gets traded that day in the draft for 3 future seconds, and Stewart goes to the Grizzlies, vice versa. Opens up more cap space, allows the Pistons to do some stuff, and some additional draft capital to move if they want. Then Al Horford declines his player option, gets a 2-year, $14 million deal. Then the Ball trade happens, which we talked about as well. Where that led to Kobe White extending to 3-year, $34 million. Mark Williams signs a 3-year, $38 million extension, which I like. I think Mark Williams is a really good quality player, and I think there's certain teams out there who could have maybe been more for him or should have. So 3 years at $38 million, I quite like. Then on the 26th, the Isaiah Joe trade happens, we just talked about in the beginning of this video. Then Jose Aldo declined a 4.5 million per option with intention to sign a 3-year, $14 million extension. So nice little pay raise for him and a nice extension to keep a good quality player under a good contract for the Knicks. So that's really small cap moving there. Then I say still there's something simple. Tend to opt out to get a new 3-year extension, which is I thought was interesting because I thought when they drafted Marwell that was going to be the say a Hardestein replacement, but so for them to draft Marwell and to keep Hardestein, I think it's just like, hey, let's just dump down this position on need and let's do it. And we think it works. Ron Harbaugh and a lot of team players did this, like Evo opting out to get a new little extension, like Ron Harper did with the Celtics, 3 years and $9 million for declining his option a little bit. We get a little bit of a pay raise plus an extension. So it's all that across the league. I'm not gonna talk about all of it, but I thought that was really interesting because I think he could potentially be a future like sixth, seventh, eighth bench depth piece. So nice job for them. A really interesting move. Jonathan Isaac got waived by the Magic to create a little bit more room. So if it's 14.5 million was only guaranteed right now, so they saved 6.5 million. That's about 2.8 from the first apron and roughly 10 into tax. So now they're closer to get out of the aprons and they can move around and help improve the roster while saving money. So Cloverdale, I expect Isaac should have a opening market. I thought it was smart by the new Bulls regime picking up Reynolds' team option for 2.4. Makes sense not to give him an extension like some of these other guys, like Juan Harbaugh, for example, because they haven't seen him play yet. But he showed some flashes, and I think if he could show those flashes in the new regime, I think he gets a similar type contract for the Bulls at some point this season because they still can offer an extension through the season as well. So, smart to pick up a good young, interesting young player for 2.4 million, which is cheap, and just see if it works or not. If it works, great. If not, oh well, it's for the cheap. So, smart little savvy move. I did not make a video about the Miles Bridges trade. And I really had no specific reasons that I know I was making this video. And my thoughts are this. I think that's quite a bit to give up if you're the from the Suns. So they get him a 29 first, least favorable between Utah, Cleveland, and Minnesota's also like protected 6 through 30, and 2027 least favorable second of Boston, Orlando, and they get a unprotected 2033, which is awesome. Who knows what the draft lottery would be like? Who knows what the draft will look like, the class will look like? So that could be a pretty good pick. And get Gracie Allen, who's a solid wall piece, and Royce O'Neal, who's a solid wall piece. And if they knew they didn't want to get Bridges the extension, this is selling a class case like, let's just see the market out there and see if we can get any value for him. And they did. I think getting Gracie Allen was another 2 solid pieces. It does a win for the young Calder establishing. It gets him a pretty valuable future first round pick. And for the Suns, I imagine they're going to try to offer extensions, which that will factor in as well. But just as a quality player in this league, he can score and stuff like that. But with his league issues from the past two, it's a class case. So let's get off clean. Let's move forward. Then for today, nothing major so far. Josh Minden and Sharp both opt out to get new contracts for the Nets. Good for them. DeAndre Adrian out of interest, 8.1 player option to the Lakers. We'll get into Draymond in a moment here, but real quick, Andrew Wiggins signed a little extension, so to stick with them for a bit. So it looks like it's going to be a Bam, Giannis, Andrew Wiggins threesome to start. As 5-4-3, or Wiggins can move to 2, I guess, and now we're going to see what type of outplay to surround them. So that's a start for them. And the Lakers, Marcus Smart declined a 5.4 player option as well. But then let's talk about this Draymond thing here. So he opted out of his contract this year, and this goes into the next part of it, is what's going to happen with LeBron James. There seems like there's maybe a slight chance that he could go to Golden State, and the reason why is Golden State will be selling him. You want to stay in LA, that's fine. You want to live in LA, that's fine. Just play for us, and you just fly back and forth between LA if that's what you want to do. Because their plan, as of right now, looks to be Curry, get Draymond a cheaper deal, will trade Jimmy Butler for Anthony Davis. Picks will probably involved too, and then we'll get Gilmore, and that'll be the group. It'll be in theory, a Davis, Green, James, and then the fourth Pete's will be to be determined with Curry. I would love somehow if they were able to convince somebody to get Klay Thompson from Dallas. That'd be. Let's get the whole Expendables. Let's get the whole group together. So that's something that's been mumbling for a while about the LeBron Golden State thing, and until actually the dream opt out thing, I honestly didn't believe it. So some smoke there, but there's a chance LeBron could also choose to stay in LA, or if he wants to retire, he could do that. I think he's gonna play. He'll probably go to LA, or there's a chance to go to Golden State, but that's wait and see. And then the last thing to look out for today, which I'll make a separate video for if it happens, is if Kawhi Leonard gets traded to the Toronto Raptors. Why that's the case, I'm not really too sure about it because I guess he's going over a post. He feels comfortable at Toronto. He's willing to resign there and stuff like that. So I guess things for the Clippers are going that south for it. So I'm not really too sure why he wants to do that. But that's just a trade in the works. And who do the Raptors trade in it? And then it doesn't mean potentially be a 3-team trade for the works. So that's just like something. If it happens, we'll talk way more about. But watch Kawhi potentially going to the Raptors to get an extension. So watch out for that. And there's going to be other moves as well. And when those happens, we'll talk about it.